the guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Love Up to Freedom. I am your host, Anni Cyrus. Today is Wednesday, August 20th, year 2025. I have a very special guest who's going to join me here in a minute. And with that, I will try to keep this as short as possible. But I am coming to you today completely fed up. Things are going to change. I want to let you know that things are going to change. My tone is going to change. Lots of new projects are on hand that I have prayed over and I have thought over, and it's going to have to happen. I will not get into too much of the details of everything that's going to change, but I just wanted to say that most likely if I make it to do a show tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, tomorrow is Thursday, I will get into details, more of it, but here's what I'm done with. I'm going to focus on a topic that I have focused on before until this very moment, but I'm going to really zoom in on it because I'm done. No more, in any shape or form, tolerating the attacks on Christian Zionists. No more tolerating any shape or form of umbrella brushing Jews and anti-Semitism. I'm done. I'm done. For everybody out there who to this day have one way or another tried to spread lies about Christian Zionism, those who have spread as much lies as they could about Israel, Palestine, Gaza, all of that, in a major way, your lies are about to be exposed. Major. I never thought I would do this, but I am going to do this. Stay tuned because a book is coming out. That book is most likely to shake a lot of people out there. Either shake him into knowing the truth or shake him into zip it and stop spreading their lies. That's all the detail I'm going to tell you today. We are live on Worldview Tube. You can catch us on worldviewtube.com or grab our app. It is for free. Just go to your app store, look for Worldview Tube, one word, all of it. Install the app, you get notification every time one of us goes live, because Worldview Tube is a network filled with truth tellers who believe in biblical values. Wow, rare found, huh? We're also live on X America News X account. We are live on my platforms only, Substack and YouTube. Yes, that's another change that has started Monday, being 2 days ago. I am only doing my live stream on Substack and YouTube. Later on, archive will be posted on other platforms. I went over why I will do this last week, so catch that show. Let's get to it. So much to discuss, so little time. So let's bring on my very dear friend, another patriot, another truth teller, a Jew who knows the truth, who has faced the consequences of lies of anti-Semitism out there, and also the founder of American Truth Project, Barry Nussbaum. Hi, Barry.
Aloha and happy day to you, Annie.
Happy day to you as well. How was my intro?
I thought your intro was fabulous. It strikes me as so disingenuous that people that attack Israel say, but I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just anti-Zionist. The entire concept of the nation of Israel being given by God 3,500 years ago, Zionism means the return to Zion, which is Jerusalem in the Bible. It's like saying, I'm really fine with Christianity, except for the Jesus part. if you throw the Jesus part out, the rest of Christianity is fine. And then your logic would say, but Christianity is the story of Jesus, and they're inseparable. One without the other is nothing. Well, same thing. Jews without Israel don't exist. Zionism is part and parcel of the founding of Judaism, and it's in the Bible, and it goes back thousands of years. The idea that people can be for one and not the other is not only religiously wrong, it's historically wrong, and it's a cover for their hatred.
Yes, and what you just described with the Christianity part, everything about Christianity is fine. Let's just remove Jesus from it. That is exactly Islam. That's what Islam does. Oh, we accept Christians as they are, but just Jesus is not their Lord and Savior. I don't get it. And maybe that's why Islam is actually growing pretty fast. But I have about probably 230 questions in my head that I have to ask you. Well, I was hoping to have you back weekly, but because of my travels last week and the storms here, we had to skip last week. So it has piled up, Barry. Let's dive in with the most heated, which, by the way, we might even disagree on this topic today. But let's start with the most celebrated, another victory in America by Americans of all sort, another ceasefire that Trump came to sign off on or get agreements from Hamas. How do you feel about that? Are we going, yay, or we know better?
Well, quite frankly, we have to be very, very clear on this. There is an agreement that Hamas has signed off on, but it's not the agreement proposed by the United States, nor the agreement proposed and signed off on by Israel. So you have negotiations going on almost in a void between the two sides. And what I mean by that is Bibi and the cabinet in Israel have made it abundantly clear. Enough with the stalling, enough with a promise of 3 hostages or 5 hostages. We're done. We want all 50 hostages out, or we're going to come get them. And they gave a deadline of 2 weeks ago. The Americans, through Witkoff and other negotiators, have extended it up till a couple days ago. Stalling for 2 more weeks, Hamas came back and said, okay, you can have 10 hostages, and we'll give you some of the dead ones back. And in exchange, we want 100 murderers out of Israeli jails that have been convicted of slaughtering. Some of them were participants in the 7th massacre. So you can see the inequality in the negotiations where Hamas says, okay, we'll make a deal, but we won't give you all 50, we'll give you 10, and you'll give us half the prison back of exchanged civilians, the Israelis, and some are not Israelis, but they were kidnapped out of southern Israel, in exchange for murderers, some of them serving life sentences. So there is no agreement on the table. There is no acceptance on the table. The one deal from Israel: surrender, release everybody, disarm. You can leave Gaza. We won't pursue you, and there'll be peace tomorrow. That's the Israeli proposal. The proposal that came back from Qatar is totally different. And I want to add one more nuance. For anyone out there in Live Up to Freedom land, there's a very, very, very important point that needs to be made and understood. The leading funder, director, and home of Hamas outside of Gaza is Qatar. I'll say it again. Qatar funds Hamas, directs Hamas, and the leaders of Hamas that aren't in Gaza are in Qatar or Qatar, depending on how you pronounce it. The idea that they are an independent arbitrator between the two sides is insane. It would be like at the end of World War II, the British, the French, the Russians, and the Americans went to negotiate with the Nazi Party, who negotiated on behalf of letting off all of the Nazi war criminals in exchange for peace. And when that was attempted, the Allied forces under General Eisenhower said, absolute unconditional surrender, or we will kill all of you. And finally, the Germans caved in. And the same thing happened with Japan. And after the atom bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they agreed. Okay, we give up. That's what must happen. This bizarre, incredibly naive position supported by most of the world leaders in the West, and I mean Britain and France and Norway and so on, and half of the American Congress. Well, we have a peace deal. Let's do it. Get all the hostages out, have Hamas disarm, and then there'll be peace, but not before.
Yes.
Sorry
So
for
I'm glad
sorry for the long answer.
Oh no,
There's
that is
a
what
lot to
I was
cover.
hoping. That is what I was hoping you would do, to break it down, because the moment I start seeing posts on social media, another win, another achievement by Trump. This isn't about Trump, by the way. Trump could have been James Smith. I don't care about the name. It's the man in power, whomever he might be. We're crediting a victory that is yet another mistake we have repeatedly made. And when I say we, I don't mean US, I don't mean Israel, I don't mean UK, I don't mean France. I mean we, the human society. We have repeatedly made this mistake, not just with Hamas, but with every single one of these terrorist, Islamist, jihadists over and over. And we're constantly, it's insanity that we keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. It's not going to happen, people. I released the Substack today, Barry, within the same topic, a little separated. It's titled "From Kabul to Moscow, the Chess Game America is Losing." These deals and these handshakes are not helping us. It's not helping anybody, for that matter, except the enemy. I have broken it all down. Now, back to Hamas. Based on my research, Barry, since 2007 until today, we're not going to even go back to 1994, just 2007 until 2025, unofficially, there has been estimated over 30 ceasefires between Hamas and Israel. Officially, on an actual, well-documented promises after promises, there have been 8 ceasefires between Hamas and Israel. Look where we're at. The only pattern we see here is from 2007 until today, Hamas attacks, kidnapping, rape, torture, and gain of financial gain has grown while the peace and safety in Israel has dropped. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you're right. And let me tell you the basis for why you're so right. Hamas came to
I'm
power.
so sorry. I should have paid more attention. Hold the answer because we're actually up for our ad break. Let's take a quick ad break. And then as soon as we come back, go ahead and answer that question and we'll continue discussion. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back literally in a minute.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. There's a lot more to discuss and we'll get to it, but I want to put a note out. I see the comments to the Muslim guys in my comment section. If it was a week ago, I would waste my breath to counter you. Today, no. but I won't block you. Go ahead and spread your lies. To the guys who are aware and posting in return of Quranic verses to prove them wrong, I appreciate you doing the heavy lifting today. Let's get back to it. Sorry, Barry, I should have done better as a host, keeping my eyes on the clock. But let's go ahead and take your answer on my statement. You said I'm not wrong, but
I want to add to why you're right. Israel conquered the Gaza Strip in 1967 when they drove Egypt out. Historically, biblically, Gaza was Jewish, and for a very long time was Jewish. In 1967, Israel took repossession of the Gaza Strip. They offered it right back to Egypt, and Egypt goes, "We don't want it." They literally offered it to Egypt, and Egypt said no. So Israel took it, governed it, settled in it, along with the Arabs that lived there. And there was relative peace until 2006, when, in a stroke of bizarre miscalculation, the prime minister of Israel at the time, a highly decorated war hero named Ariel Sharon, decided as prime minister, we need to leave the Gaza Strip. We're going to give it to the Palestinians. They dug up the Jewish cemeteries. They demolished the synagogues. They took the 20 settlements out. They evacuated everybody, some under force, left the greenhouses and the factories to the Arabs, who promptly burned them all to the ground because they didn't want to have anything to do with the Jews. And then there were free elections, and the Palestinians, or Arabs there, elected Hamas. Now, Hamas ran in 2006 on the principle of their organization, which is, and they were founded on this principle, which is the destruction of not only Israel, but the Jews. They were founded to kill the Jews. So when you say dozens and dozens of ceasefires were broken by Hamas, Israel never broke one since 2006. Every one was broken by Hamas. It's not a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. That's their mission, to kill the Jews. And they say things like, oh, it's so great that all these Jews are coming back to Israel because we can have them all in one place when we kill them. It's the same thing Iran says. And it's not a surprise, since Iran was the major director for a very long time of Hamas operations. So you're right. Every single ceasefire since 2006, when Hamas took over the Gaza Strip, has been initiated by Hamas. Then they make an agreement. They consider it basically a hudna, which you can tell our audience much better than me what it means from Sharia. It's not a peace treaty. It's not a ceasefire. It's a temporary cessation of violence till they can rearm and get stronger and then reattack, which they do repeatedly. So the concept of making peace with people who are sworn in their charter to kill you is impossible, which is why Israel is so dubious, and the rest of the world, when they push these ceasefire ridiculous proposals down Israel's throat at the UN, at the EU, by the foreign ministers that scream, we're going to shut off your weapons, we're going to stop trade, we're going to ban your citizens from coming to our country, as Australia just did, to force you to capitulate to Hamas. What they're really saying is, you stop fighting them, they are going to kill you. And that's what we support. That's literally the lay of the land.
exactly. And again, for every time, in any shape or form, any deal made or any ceasefire declared between a sovereign nation of humans versus Islamic leaders shall not be celebrated, but rather it shall be questioned. Why are we doing this? Why are we constantly and repeatedly enabling these people who are spreading so much propaganda and lies that the comment section of our YouTube right now, Barry, is, jam-packed traffic of anti-Semitism coming up fast enough that I can't keep up with. And most of the IDs, except two, are not even Muslims. So right there, the answer is within the question I just phrased. Because anti-Semitism needs to reach its level because Muslims aren't the only one who hate Jews. The hatred for Jews from day one of modern style of society, expansion of Middle East and the Eastern side into Western society, from day one has been the fear. They fear the Jews. They fear the land of Israel. And I'm going to go preachy here for a minute. They should fear that land. From day one of its history, people have tried to conquer it, demolish it, make it disappear, wipe it off the map, and it's still standing on the tiniest population and size on earth. Now, if that's not God's covenant, what is? So the hatred based on atheism, godlessness, being a Muslim is enough, Satan worshiper, that is the base, but the vehicle that has driven this fear from an existing fear into an absolute weapon today is the Western leaders on both sides of aisles. Now, correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, it's not only is it a disease, but it's the disease of anti-Semitism, but it's spreading. It's pathetic that it started as well. I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm just anti-Israel policy, and then it became I'm anti-Israel. I'm anti-Zionism. Like, notwithstanding the fact that Zionism is the basis of the religion, and now, as you pointed out, and it's terrifying and pathetic at the same time, you have demonstrations all over the world, and I mean, including New York City and Minneapolis, among other places, which have very large Muslim populations, where you have virtual terrorists in the streets, wrapped in keffiyehs, screaming, "Death to the Jews, you should have all died in Auschwitz, back to the ovens." It's not even anti-Israel anymore. They're just calling it what it is. We hate the Jews.
Yes. And let me address something. I love it when they make our case easy, right? I have a comment here, Barry, from Joseph, the Arabic Muslim way of it. The comment says, you, being myself, you are only alive because of the U.S. taxpayers. How do we translate that, Barry? That's coming out of fuel of love for your fellow humans, right?
I don't even know what to make of that. Are they saying that you, Inez, Anni Cyrus, are only alive because the U.S. taxpayers are supporting you?
Yes. And let me address it for a second. I was going not to take away from our discussion, but this one needs an addressing. So here's the thing. First of all, I'm alive because God still has plans for me. That's one. Number two, yes, I'm alive because of U.S. taxpayers building America to where it was able to allow me, the ex-Muslim former child bride, to escape and find life here in America. So you're correct on that statement. Yes, the taxpayers' money building this country to the freedom and liberties it's offering to real victims of Sharia is absolutely the second reason I'm still alive. However, even if I wasn't in America, with my Second Amendment, you and your fellow Muslims who would love to see me dead still would not be able to take me out until my expiration date and moment was issued by God. That is my belief. That's why when I see comments like this, it doesn't rattle me anymore. It did until a few years ago, not anymore. But thank you for making our point for us. We say what you don't like to hear, and immediately you go for. Isn't that what Hamas does, Barry?
Well, Hamas is, I hate to break it down to something this basic, but Hamas is not a radical Islamic group. They are a traditional
Islamic group,
Muslim
exactly.
group. They are following the dictates of Sharia to the letter. And the assimilated Muslims of the West are borderline apostates for not carrying out the wishes as dictated by Muhammad. Hamas considers themselves traditionalists, as do the mullahs who rule autocratically in your home country of Iran. They don't think they're radicals. They think they are religious observers of the law laid down in the Quran. So these people in the West that say, oh, Hamas is, they're crazy people and we're not like that. We're good Muslims. We're the religion of peace. That's malarkey. Those are the radical Muslims. Those are the Muslims that don't believe in half the religion. They've assimilated into the West and then periodically allow their anti-Israel, anti-American, anti-capitalism, anti-woman beliefs to come out. But the truth is, Hamas are the Islamic good guys in the eyes of traditionalists.
Yes, in eyes of Allah, as it says in Quran, that those who do not commit jihad with their wealth, money, and their life are not Allah's favorite. It's simple as words in Quran. It's if you don't fund jihad or go blow yourself up, Allah doesn't consider you his favorite. You're probably got, since there are 7 layers of heaven, you might get first or second floor. But let's get back to, I'm glad sometimes these comments help the argument or the discussion. With the 2 minutes left on this segment before we head to our next ad break, let's conclude on the Hamas and the ceasefire, because there are other countries that I want to bring up. But let's conclude on, okay, so supposedly we're going into another ceasefire. Well, it shouldn't even be a ceasefire. It's another agreement of trade. We're releasing a bunch of killers and murderers and jihadists back to the streets of we don't know where. And they're going to release the hostages, including those dead. So let me ask you this, Barry. Where within this deal, confession, because when you're giving back dead bodies, you're confessing that you murdered innocent people, hostages. So when is the International Crime Court going to get involved and seek justice for the dead hostages being released?
Never. Look, the International Criminal Court has indictments and arrest warrants out for Bibi Netanyahu, the head of the military, the defense secretary of Israel, and so on. Those are the criminals. And the people that slaughtered and raped and burned babies in microwave ovens and cut pregnant women in half and gang raped girls to death, a lot of them have been captured. They're in Israeli prisons. Those are the people that Hamas wants back in exchange for the innocent civilians they kidnapped. These people will never see justice, Annie. They're never going to be before a court. The international courts don't care. Let me tell you something. There are more Christians being killed today around the world in a week than any Muslims being killed anywhere in the world, and yet it's not in the news. It's not in mainstream media. Nobody in America knows about it. We report on it every week at ATP, and I always say, there are Christians being annihilated throughout Africa. They're burning churches in Nigeria. They broke into a church 3 days ago, and they slaughtered 30 men, women, and children for believing in Jesus.
Yes.
Nobody in America cares. So it's not about equality under the law. It's not about justice before God. It's support for an anti-Semitic, Nazi-worshipping regime that's a cult of death. Look, the IDF is finding Hitler books and Hitler pictures in home after home after home after home in the Gaza Strip. It's not a secret. If Hitler was alive today, it would be like the Grand Mufti during World War II, who swore allegiance to Hitler. He was literally an honorary member of the SS. He met personally with Hitler, and his design was to annihilate all the Jews in the Middle East on behalf of the Nazis. His descendants are ruling in Gaza today. It's a small part of Gaza. Israel's liberated the rest. But what's curious is the might of the Israeli army and the decency of the Israeli army is causing mass populations within Gaza to say, okay, enough. It's like the Druzim in southern Syria. We want to be ruled by Israel. We don't want to be Syrians anymore. And they are cousins of Islam, and they've had it. They don't want the death cult anymore. They want freedom for their families. They want to be able to go to work without being blown up. They want to be able to worship privately because the Druzim are very private about their religious methodologies and what their belief systems are. But on the Israeli side, where their cousins are, they're crossing the border and they're demanding the Israeli army liberate South Syria to make it part of Israel. And you know what? I think if Israel is able to make the decision to occupy parts of Gaza, there will be peace in perpetuity, as long as they don't give it back to the nutballs. And the nutballs are the true believers that as soon as they get back in power, they'll wrap the green headband around that says in Arabic, to the death, so they can kill more Jews. And like you said, they think they're going to the higher level. They think they're going to paradise with all the virgins on. They believe it.
Yes, I do have a few comments to make about your closing comment there, but we got to head to our second ad break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
Welcome back to liveuptofreedom.com. Thank you so much for staying with me until now. And remember, when you support our sponsors and advertisers and products, you're supporting the network. Because believe it or not, unlike the comment accusations, we do not receive personal checks from BB. I have said this on air, so have Brennan. We will not refuse if there will be a check, but unfortunately we have not received one yet through mail or back alleys at night. So we do need your support to continue doing what we're doing. I want to address one very quick comment here for someone who might have misunderstood. Sarah, LOL, quoting the Quran, but don't know anything about Islam. What do you know about Muslims in the West? Your favorite word is jihad. Go enhance your vocabulary, then come back. Sarah, let me address this one by one. What do I know about Islam? I was born and raised a Muslim. I grew up under teaching of a mother who taught Quran in Iran and a father who was a sheikh. That's for my knowledge of Islam. The second part of what do I know about Muslims in the West? I know a lot, but here's a short answer. Muslims in the West will be killed, hung at 5 a.m. in the public square of Tehran within days of arriving in a real Islamic country. Muslims in West are getting away with everything they're doing that is anti-Sharia because they're in the West, because they have the protection of countries like America, the Constitution, when they are free to do whatever they want to do, including not wearing the hijab. Have you heard of Mahsa Amini? If you haven't, you should look her up. Since you asked me to expand my vocabulary, I will ask you to enhance your knowledge of women under Sharia in Islamic countries in last 3 years. I don't even need you to go back 47 years. That's too much work. I don't think you have the tolerance for it. Just last 3 years. Look at the number of Muslim women in Islamic countries of your choosing. Doesn't matter. Any of the 50 states, 50 countries. Look what happens to Islamic country's Muslim women when they walk around looking like Ilhan Omar, showing the neck, the nice earring, the nail polishes. And then you come and tell me what you know about the true suffering of women under Islam. Okay, I think that addresses pretty much all of your points here. As far as my vocabulary, yeah, again, I'm guessing, I don't know, Sarah could be a name of anywhere. Sweetheart, English is my fifth language. My vocabulary is pretty expanded actually after 24 years of being in America. However, I agree. I will keep on learning more words, but jihad is not my favorite word. Remember, that is your prophet's favorite word. Muhammad loved the word jihad in any shape or form. Okay, let's bring back Barry Nussbaum to the disc. Anything you would like to add to what I addressed Sarah with, or should we move on?
Well, I would add to your self-described biography. For those in the audience that don't know you, Anni Cyrus does not know a little bit about Islam. Anni Cyrus is a scholar on Islam. And if you want to know what the religion teaches and what the beliefs are, all you have to do is ask, and you're going to get dumped a lot of data. I wouldn't argue. I would ask the question and keep my ears and mind open. And I'll tell you one more thing, that when I used to give speeches in person to large groups, and the subject of Islam came up, I would ask for a show of hands from the audience. And I would say, how many of you have read the Quran? And out of, 200-300 people in attendance, you might get one hand, maybe two. And I would ask everybody, please do me a favor. Go on Amazon. You can get a good English translation sent to you for about $6 or $7. Read the book. Read it cover to cover. If you finish that book and aren't scared to death that you have read the most horrible prophecy of what's coming, if it came true, and you don't compare it to Mein Kampf, the book that Hitler wrote while he was in prison in the 1920s for insurrection against the German people, and he wrote My Struggle, which is what Mein Kampf means. It's very, very similar in the sense that listen to what I'm going to say, and if I get in power, this is exactly what I'm going to do. That's what the Quran will teach you. And if that doesn't scare you to death, read it again, because you didn't get the meaning.
Exactly. That's I think a lot of these people, for whatever reason, I'm not complaining, but YouTube has pushed, or I do know, because on the title we have, the word Gaza, and they automatically push your video into the crowd that are pro Free Palestine. So a lot of these audience have no idea who I am. They're looking at both of us as, oh, you're just, somebody actually called us a psychopath, which is interesting. As you said, if you read the Quran, if you read the Quran, if you're a Muslim, you practice Islam, and you read the Quran, and you still defend Islam, by definition of science, you're the psychopath, not me. I left that. That moment I realized what it represented, I'm like, no, thank you. But let's get back to all the deals, because Barry, I feel like, again, one of the reasons anti-Semitism is skyrocketing right now, disturbingly skyrocketing, as evidence shows on the comment section, is because of these deals. Every time we make a deal, we're neutralizing the enemy and turning him into another counterpart of this world. So let's go talk about Houthis, because that's another ceasefire, right? President Trump achieved a ceasefire with Houthis. Where are we at with that one?
Well, that's a curious understanding that Donald Trump created, and I, for the life of me, I can't explain it. The Houthis control a portion of Yemen. They are very radicalized, war-loving Shiite organization under the direct dominion and control and funding of Iran. They've been attacking Israeli shipping, international shipping, American shipping for a very long time. Trump said, if you continue to attack American vessels, we're coming after you. And there were some strikes by the Americans. So the Houthis did something very curious, which was ingenious on their part. They went to the Americans and said, okay, we won't do anything against American ships anymore. We give up. Will you stop bombing us? And Trump declared victory. Hey, I have peace with the Houthis. What? And I don't get it. What I don't understand for the life of me is the Houthis didn't say, I'm going to stop blowing up British ships, French ships, Saudi ships, Israeli ships. I'm just going to stop bombing American ships. So to Trump, somehow, this was another peace deal. Well, you got to call BS on this one because international shipping is still so upside down. You can't get insurance on a ship that goes anywhere near Yemen that is inside the firing range of the Houthis. So on behalf of the entire world, Israel periodically bombs the Houthi-controlled area of Yemen. And when they do that, and they blow up missile factories and delivery systems and launchers, and they've hit the port a few times, and they hit one of the oil offloading ports, the Houthis calm down, and then they think, oh, maybe we should stop for a while. But then again, I was on the phone with some family in Israel a few days ago, and bam, the missile alert goes off on my phone, goes off on the phones in Israel, and everybody runs to the bomb shelter because they launch another ballistic missile at Israel. So Trump's peace treaty with Yemen is total BS. All Trump got them to do was stop shooting at American ships. All the other ships are not off limits. It's the silliest peace treaty I've ever heard of in my life. What Trump should have done, and maybe he'll listen to me one of these days on this subject, he could very easily have said, I'm going to send B-2 bombers. We're going to flatten Yemen. You have 1 day to accept my proposal, and then the bombers are coming in the air. I did it to Iran. I'm going to do it to you. No more missiles, no more suicide drones at any shipping, and nothing shot at Israel. Take it or leave it. And you know what? They would have stepped down. But he didn't do it. And I don't know why. I cannot explain it.
Well, the thing is, since January until today, there is not a single deal or victory that has been achieved that I can explain when it comes to Middle East. Every single one of them makes no sense. Lifting all sanctions from Syria. Why? Letting Saudi Arabia.
Well, wait a minute. Let me stop you there, because the leader of Syria, a former Al-Qaeda terrorist who had a $5 million bounty on his head, put on a suit. And of course, this is so silly. And Donald Trump says, he looks really good in a suit. And now he's an okay guy. He seized power from a horrible, murderous dictator. And this guy was an Al-Qaeda leader. And they used to cut off the heads of Americans all the time.
And Jews.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the thing. Nothing about these deals makes sense.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't.
I don't either. But I do want to continue. When we come back, this is our last outbreak. I want to expand on what you said about the Houthis and the Yemen and all of that, because there is a curious point to all the audience. Those of you who are hating me, those of you who are loving me, those of you who are like neutral, those of you, whatever you're hearing, whatever your judgment is, there is a curious point involved in the level of denial of human society when it comes to rules and regulations and law and order. And we want to address that about Houthis, but we got to go take our last ad break. I don't want to cut into that. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's 10:45, Deb.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHousebg.com.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for hanging in there until now. As I said, the good, the bad, the ugly. I commend your commitment to stick around and try to change my mind, or Barry's mind for that matter. Joseph, quick note. You said you are European and I am not worthy to lick your boots. Sweetheart, I am the daughter of God. We don't do earthly worth. We do worth of his kingdom. So good for you for being European, but here, as Barry said, on Live Up to Freedom land, we don't care at all. Okay.
Well said.
Thank you, Barry. Yeah, and it's just sometimes I feel like, Barry, let's get into that very denial I just said. There is a level of denial, like the ears are so blocked, right? From first comment, you're a liar, you're a Zionist, you're a liar, you're a propagandist, you're like, they won't even hear a single word you say because their ears are so blocked. The level of denial is, the wall is so thick. They won't even take a second to listen. Like you see the comments coming, right? Because they're hearing what they want to hear. And not to be, I'm not discouraged at all. As you know, I'm more encouraged than I ever been. And you've known me for a very long time, not to make both of us very old, which we are. But it's not discouragement. It's the fact of, this is why I don't address them anymore. I don't debate them on my comments because they don't even hear, do they?
Well, keep in mind, these are people that have been exposed to modern day overwhelming propaganda along the lines of what Joseph Goebbels said when he was Adolf Hitler's propaganda minister. And Joseph Goebbels' famous quote that to this day is so profound, when he said, "Give me control of the press and I will make the people into sheep."
Uh-huh.
Now, in those days, there was just the printed press and the radio. Now there's the internet. But it's the same concept, Annie. You have thousands and thousands of postings and bots spreading the lie that Israel is an invading people that have conquered a land that they were never in and had no right to.
Uh-huh.
Which is exactly the opposite. The other thing that Goebbels said is, we will blame our enemies for exactly what we will do and are doing until the people believe us and not them. And that's exactly what's happening. The Jews have been in Israel since the time of Abraham. They were given the land in the Bible. In the New Testament, this is where Jesus, a Jewish rabbi from Bethlehem and Nazareth, preached. And he preached in Jerusalem, in the Holy Temple, built on the holiest place on earth. Which is why, when the Muslims conquered Jerusalem, they built a mosque where the temple was. That's what they do to claim land, to show it's now mine, it's not yours anymore. The truth is, in the history of the world, in the history of mankind, there is one people that have had the same belief system, the same language, and have lived in the same location longer and more consistently than any other people that ever lived. Who are those people? The Jews. Same language of the Bible from 3,000 years ago. They live in the same place. They worship the same God. They have the same belief system. The idea that the Arabs who got renamed Palestinians by an Egyptian named Yasser Arafat in 1964, along with the Soviet KGB. They made it up, have created a narrative out of thin air. And since that time, the movement has caught on, fueled by anti-Semitism and invigorated by an internet that is going crazy. So you have people that a couple of years ago seemed pretty normal. And I mean, famous people, Brandon, not like Brandon House, God forbid, but you look at someone like
Steve Bannon.
I was going to say Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Stu Peters, where they went from conservative to insane. And the cause of all world problems is the Jews. So you have Candace Owens going on the air and saying, yeah, the Israelis killed John Kennedy. And conspiracy theories that are just nuts. All the Jews were evacuated out of the Twin Towers. Well, actually, the Twin Towers were the financial capital of New York, and more Jews died percentage-wise than any other population on 9/11 because they worked on Wall Street. But don't let the truth interfere with your narrative, especially in cases where it entails defending Jews or Israel. And the one last thing I would want to make as a point is these people that talk about Gaza, and I get it on my show all the time. I always ask, have you been there? I have. Until you've seen it, you don't know what you're talking about. The idea that Israel, for example, is an apartheid state. You know, there's more brown and black and people of various colors in Israel than there are white people. It's not a white colonial place. Muslims serve in the army. They serve in the court system. They have important jobs. They run hospitals. They're doctors. They're lawyers. They have full equality. They vote in every election. And they are sitting in the Knesset today, which is, as we know, the Israeli Congress. But don't let the truth ruin your story. Tucker, Candace, Stu, and so on.
Yeah, especially when it
ahead.
helps you fit in and be more popular and be part of a club, and on top of that, get bigger checks and advertisers, right?
Absolutely. You know, and that's an interesting point I hadn't thought about. The internet monetizes based on the number of followers you have and unique views on your content. Advertisers don't really care what you're saying. You could be reading, Egyptian hieroglyphic poetry for all they care. But if there's 200,000 people watching your channel, I'm going to sell my jeans on your show. It's all about the number of eyes on the prize, as it is. And people are able to be controversial by saying completely wild stuff. And the more controversial and the more disgusting it sometimes is, whether it's in some cases pornographic, like these various, monetized semi-soft porn sites that have millions of views a day, and oh my God, are they making money? And it has nothing to do with the truth. It has nothing to do with decency. It has nothing to do with ethical and moral behavior. It has to do with views. And like you said, you get these people that are literally making stuff up and they don't know what they're talking about. And yet they're getting rich off of it. Look, when you have a case like Tucker Carlson goes to Russia and lets Putin talk for 3 hours, lecturing the whole world, and this is Tucker Carlson the whole time smiling like a goofball because it's ratings galore, and he can put anti-Semites on all the time, like the nun the other day he had on who told him that Christians are being slaughtered by the Jews and Israel's burning down churches. That's a lie. I've been there. I've been to Bethlehem. I've been to Nazareth. I've been to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I've been to every Christian site there is, including where Jesus was baptized. And there's Christians and Jews walking hand in hand as best friends. That's the Israel I know, because I've been there many times and I talk to Israel every day and my family's there. But
Exactly.
you've got
And that's the thing.
You got the haters attacking.
And that's why I ask you to join me on my program. Do I know the level of backlash we'll receive? Absolutely. I actually enjoy it, as you just said. Every person on this chat room on YouTube who's been coming at us, they've been helping my algorithm. The numbers are skyrocketing on YouTube. I just want to say thank you guys for helping this feed go a little farther than it normally would, because there might be somebody out there who might actually listen instead of their wall of denial. But that's the thing, Barry. Since you brought up Tucker Carlson, don't forget, he also rushed in, as he described, an awkward setting of him talking English, somebody translating Pezeshkian, the president of Islamic Republic of Iran, speaking in Farsi, somebody translating to English. He still did it to give him a full hour and a half of discussion after the 12 days war. So Iran's president, Pezeshkian, could sit there, spread the propaganda, and what did Tucker do?
Giggled. And laughed and nodded.
Interest.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
And he starts the show by saying, I didn't ask certain questions knowing I'll never get the truth out of him. Right there, why would you invite someone you know it's going to lie? But then the questions you asked him was exactly the questions you said you will not ask him, because you know you're not going to get the truth. So again, you have Candace Owens, who sit down for hours giving platform to Andrew Tate, who literally converted to Islam and said, I'm becoming a Muslim because under Islam, nobody's going to persecute me for selling these girls and raping them.
Oh, yeah,
and
he's
Candace
proud of
gets him on.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they're best friends.
But then
That's
the accusation of, we're getting chicks from BB, again, I'm not even kidding. Barry, I will personally, if I ever am contacted by anyone from officials in Israel saying, we want you to become our exclusive reporter, let's do it. I'm doing it. Not because I 100% agree with their policies. I criticize BB plenty of times, actually. But I don't mind actually being paid for the hard work I do and the backlash I receive and the hate I face while doing so. But we are at the very last minute. So I want you to leave our audience, those who love us, those who hate us, those who don't care about us. What's your 1 minute message at the closing?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say this. Don't opine on that which you know nothing about. Don't get your data from TikTok. Don't get educated by following an echo chamber. You want to know about Israel? You can fly there for about $800. Go see it. As a Christian, as a Jew, as an agnostic, as a Muslim, I will set up your tours for you. I will get you into the sites. I'll get you into the Knesset, and you can see the most vibrant democracy you've ever seen in your life. Christians, Druze, Muslims, agnostics, gays, straights, everybody's there. And they're arguing about everything.
I need to cut you off, Barry, because we are literally out of time. But coming back next week, Barry?
You got it, babe. I'll be back.
Everybody, head over to findbarry.com. Support Barry, American Truth Project, and their efforts. I got to run. liveuptofreedom.com. liveuptofreedom.com.